All right, here, hello, Professor. This is my submission for our week 6 assignment. So I made this presentation talking about AI regulatory compliance in healthcare. Um, so that was my topic that I picked, talking about AI-driven technology and its emergence in healthcare in the present day. So for our table of contents, we are gonna look at we're gonna do an introduction about the chosen development and its significance within health information technology compliance and governance. We're going to look at the impact on stakeholders in terms of healthcare professionals, healthcare providers, patients, policymakers, and technology. We're going to look at challenges and roadblocks. We'll look at some lessons that were learned, future directions, and we'll do our conclusion. So just to make a brief introduction for our chosen development, for this project, I'll be looking at the recent developments in artificial intelligence and governance. AI applications, they are rapidly expanding across healthcare domains. Ever since COVID, about in 2020, 2021, about 63% of healthcare organizations accelerated their adoption plans for artificial intelligence. It is said that by 2030, the global healthcare AI market is projected to reach about 100 to $188 billion, and applications will span between clinical decision supports, diagnostics, administrative automations, and personalized medicine. AI presents unprecedented benefits and risk for healthcare delivery while helping healthcare organizations navigate uncertainties with compliance. So we will talk about some of the benefits and also address some of the risk in terms of data security and some other risks that are involved with the use of AI. So, to talk on the impact of stakeholders, we're going to begin by talking on healthcare providers. So, there's going to be an impact on the clinical workflow, and this is in terms of documentation of AI-assisted decision-making processes. So, because this is a new form of documentation, it could impact the workflow of the organization for the healthcare providers. Some of them may not be as accustomed to using these AI-assisted technology to be able to make decisions. So it could take some getting used to. That goes into our next point with workforce adaptation, including the need for AI literacy among clinical and administrative staff. So you want to make sure that your staff, both clinicians and the administrative staff, that they are well literate with the AI world and with the AI concept to be able to limit those disruptions in the workflow. There's also going to be an impact on the resource requirements, leading to new compliance officer roles with AI expertise emerging. So even if the emergence of AI will limit the use of like actual officer roles, during the implementation process, there do need to be established compliance officer roles to make sure that during the implementation process that every policy is still being maintained and they're staying compliant. There are going to be concerns with liability regarding unclear responsibilities between providers, developers, and vendors. And AI, with the adoption of AI, this does lead to faster diagnoses and also workload reduction. Okay. And moving on for the impact that it will have on the patients. So patients could have trust challenges. It was said that about 68% of patients experience concerns about the use of AI in their care. So some patients, especially those who are in underserved areas or maybe like geriatrics that are not so, I want to use the word woke, but are not so aware to the benefits and of AI. They're more, wary about is your data being secured and how they can have access to this information and how much AI is being involved in their care. There can also be impacts on the benefit access, their access to benefits. So they could be on uneven distribution of AI enhanced care capabilities. Okay. There'll also be an impact on the expansion of data privacy. So the traditional informed consent may be considered inadequate for AI training data. So they might require something more advanced, and that can also make it more susceptible to issues with data privacy. There can be issues with equity concerns, the risk of algorithmic bias affecting underrepresented populations. So based on like the algorithms that are set into the AI programs, it could lead to some populations being more being not getting the same care as some other population. And although there may be limited ability to contest AI-generated decisions, patients will be able to gain faster diagnosis with improved accuracy. And then the impact it will have on the policymakers, they're going to be enforcement mechanisms. So this involves developing new compliance verification approaches. So there have to be like the compliance officer roles, the new people in those roles, they do have to develop these new compliance verification approaches. Also impact on the application, the public health applications. This includes balancing individual rights with public health benefits. There can also be issues with balancing innovation and safety. So as much as you are wanting to implement and utilize these new technology for better decision making and better accuracy and for better diagnoses, there's also pressure to enable innovation while still protecting the safety of the public and making sure you're providing optimal patient care. You're also going to be, there might be an impact on cross-agency coordination. So with all the agencies involved to make sure you're giving them the best care that they can have, you could lead to like developing overlapping framework with agencies like the FDA, ONC, and OCR, etc. Okay. Ethical frameworks will be needed to mitigate biases, maintain accountability, and explainability as well. And in terms of technology companies that will be helping us during this process, in terms of opportunity, there is a huge market for diagnostic algorithms that are responsible for data security, making sure that the data is fair, and explainability as well. There could be challenges with cross-border operations, with managing divergent international requirements. There could be new expectations for algorithmic documentation to limit bias. Implementation of new documentation and monitoring systems can also be pretty costly, and the standards of validation may be compromised due to varying timelines for compliance requirements. So for some challenges and roadblocks, we're going to look at legal and regulatory basis, technological basis, ethical basis, and organizational resistance. So legally, there may be lack of AI-specific HIPAA guidance. So a particular space in the HIPAA directly and specifically talking about AI to make sure they're staying in compliance and, patient data is being secure. There could be unclear liability for AI driven diagnoses, limited precedent for AI compliance enforcement. And in terms of technological limitations, you can have a lack of diversity in training data, limited interoperability with the electronic healthcare records. And you can also have issues with data quality which could affect the healthcare equity as well. Some ethical considerations, like there's a risk for algorithmic bias, kind of like we mentioned before, risk of widening the healthcare disparities through uneven AI implementation. So based on like under-reserved or unreserved, underserved populations getting less healthcare as compared to people in, more accessible regions. There could be tension between data access for training and privacy protections. And in terms of organizational resistance, you can have provider reluctance with trusting, the recommendations made by AI because it's new, it's computer-based, some people are more old school and tend to take a longer time to trust these recommendations because we are dealing with, patients' lives. There's a high investment required for compliance infrastructure. There could be confusion over responsibility distribution, like who is responsible for what, and additional workflow steps for AI-assisted decisions. So some lesson learned and future direction. So making sure you're using a risk-based approach can help limit potential harm and engage in continuous monitoring to enhance or ongoing performance. You should learn to combine technical expertise, clinical expertise, just cross how would I put it? Like cross departments. So the technological team, the clinical team, legal team, they can all help and collaborate together with to develop that governance as well as involving patients and other stakeholders like the healthcare providers, like I mentioned before in the implementation process. Policies should offer harmonized frameworks and transparency in order to keep AI development process standardized and with inclusion of clear guidelines. Future benefits may include more personalized treatment recommendations, new insights from complex data and analytics, expanded access to expertise in underserved areas, and improved clinical workflow. So just to conclude, the use of AI in healthcare is rapidly evolving but remains unfragmented. It is important for stakeholders and other stakeholders, the healthcare providers, patients, the policymakers, the technological team to all be included in order to make an effective implementation plan. Successful governance balances innovation with safety and equity concerns, and international harmonization efforts will also help shape future landscape. Without proper governance, they pose risk to privacy, equity, and ethics. And here are references.